Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Two Geek Girls. Esri, you are a little shit who just opened my door right as we start.
Kabam! It's like they let themselves know. And I think all of the cats are leaving me alone for just the moment. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Happy Thursday. Happy 1 week before Thanksgiving, if that's a thing for
Which means
you.
we will not be here next week because
we will
we're
not.
all dealing with family.
We'll all be in estrus, whatever. What's it called? Nesters. It's the word. And it was that restaurant on Boondocks. What was it called? Anyway, y'all know it. I know y'all mean what? Itis. That's it. The itis.
Itis or puppy dog syndrome. Either one works.
I hope you all have had a great week. 2 weeks. I think it's been 2 weeks since we were able to see you guys. So thank you all for joining us again. Been eventful. Hi. Hey, Jim. Hey, Donnie. How you doing? Hey, Olive.
Yes. Welcome in.
We got
Jim,
Claude.
Donnie, Olive, Claude. We see you. And I apparently cannot stop dropping my lid for my water. It's one of those days.
Yeah. It's me just trying really not to drop mine.
Mood.
So what have you guys been up to? Let us know in the comments section. What have you been reading? Let us know in the comment section. Let's see. Actually, there was one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit last week. So I took some more notes on it. And this is the formation, I guess the new formation of the Comic Book Writers Union.
Okay.
So this, I had to write down a lot of notes and do a lot of Wikipedia because my introduction to this was actually a response by Image Comics to the fact that several people on their staff were forming just the Comic Book Writers Union. Okay, so first a little bit of background. What we do have is a recognized union in the United States called the Communication Workers of America. And that is like the media union. This encapsulates comic book writers because they are considered another form of media. So it's a media union. It's like less than 1 million members, to give you an idea, to actually become part of the union. This is nationally recognized, and it works with the National Labor Relations Board, which protects. Now that's when the government itself actually recognizes the union and protects it on a federal level.
Okay.
So you have the National Labor Relations Board, which is in the United States government, and they protect what we call the Communication Workers of America, the CWA. But CWA, there are members of comic book writers who want their own union. They feel like being a part of the CWA, even though it is recognized by the government, is not taking into account the comic books. They feel like they need their own union, specifically for their trade. Okay.
And that's fair and valid.
They had lots of points.
It's a very different landscape for comic book writers and artists.
Right. I can remember several years ago people asking why there were not comic. It's not something that happened overnight. This is something that has been talked about for a few years. It's probably something that's been talked about longer than we know. Of course, you can imagine what the answers have always been. Well, you have the option of joining the communications union if that's what you want to do, which is recognized by the largest publications. You could be a member of the union. You work for Image Comics, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, and you will be a member of the union, and you'll be recognized, and they have to adhere to all of that. So here's what I was, and anyone come in and correct me because I'm learning about this retroactively. Freely admit that. I was first introduced to the Comic Book Writers Union coming forward because Image Comics made a public statement that they would not recognize it. That is my introduction to it. Was we understand this formation. I think it was in the beginning of November, and Image Comics made a public statement saying we don't recognize this union. Yeah, okay.
All right.
Alrighty. So there we go. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da. If I go back to an article on November 1st, then what I have is Staff at Image Comics. This is IGN, but it was published several places, so I'm just reading it off of their site, but this was a statement that was put several places. Staff at Image Comics have today formed Comic Book Workers United, a new union that support its writers and artists. Announced via an official statement, the union aims to support creators in the comic book industry and was launched today by several key figures at the company. Okay, so that was the beginning of November. That's official. Now, let me give you guys a little bit of Image Comics statement to this. Let's see. All right. Image Comics refuses to voluntarily recognize the union. Now, that's important because they are leaving themselves open to possibly recognizing it in the future, but they're not going to do it just as it's formed. This is like a whole PR thing. You could tell. It's the first union of its kind. So this is brand new territory for everyone to learn how to deal with when you've already been working with a union and it's a union that is already protected by a government office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Formations of unions are not as easy as people think. They're even harder than you think.
Oh yeah, they're very difficult to get off the ground.
Yeah. So, and you can find various statements from the people who basically what their mission statement is about forming this new union. So you can find several statements. So it's the Comic Book Writers United.
Okay.
Union. Okay. I'm trying to find. Anyway, it was after that, and I'll try to find the statement. Basically, exactly what it says, that Image Comics, even though it was formed by people at Image Comics, is refusing to voluntarily acknowledge this union. So when he demands that the union makes any of it, they don't have to adhere to. Yet.
Which I get, but at the same time, it just feels ethically wrong.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. It's like the princess. It's like the Prince of Tides is neither about princes nor tides. Discuss. It's like there you go. So that was one thing I wanted to hit on because that was something I only started to learn of in the beginning of this month. And it's I admit it's something that not having been a comic book writer, it's not something that I thought about because I guess you do accept the statement that it just falls under the blanket of the communications that already exist. So there you go.
Yeah.
I had to get all of those acronyms out of the way.
Alphabet soup.
There you go. Lots of those. Okay.
It's the alphabet soup.
It is the alphabet soup. I got a question for you guys. Does anybody remember humanoids?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I remember the comic book, the graphic novel. If I remember right. Humanoids. It's probably one of the best sci-fi ever put out there. It was one of my mom's. So, our favorite director of all time, at least one of mine, Taika Waititi, is going to be doing the project based on this. And there you go. Let's see if we can get... Specifically, you probably want to look at the INCAL, INCAL, the INCAL, which I'm sure I'm butchering that. Let's see. Humanoids taps Taika Waititi to turn the INCAL into a future film.
Huh.
So there you go.
Taika's a really great choice for pretty much anything that's like vaguely going to be humorous.
A little, I mean, it helps if I appreciate like the humanoids publications, and you can still get it. You can get the title, the in call there, but the humanoids publication. This is like for me who has read it and I know it. This is like a match made in heaven. This is perfect. There's nobody else who could have done this. The fact that they got Taika Waititi means he completely understands it, and I completely trust him, and I'm excited about this.
Oh yeah,
and I'm telling you guys,
Taika.
Yeah.
Like there are a few directors these days that I go, all right, yes, I would trust them with pretty much anything you put in their hands. Taika is one of them.
Yep.
So far, he has yet to show anything like that I've come across that he didn't do phenomenally on, even if he was just a small bit character in it and wasn't the director. Like acting wise, directing, like he's one of those people that is a hitter on multiple fronts. He's a pretty strong actor on his own, and then you add in that with his directing abilities, and we get things like What We Do in the Shadows, Thor Ragnarok. Hell, he even showed up in the most recent Suicide Squad movie, and honestly, the rat catcher stuff was some of the stuff that hits you the most in the heart. Like the rest of it was just screwball crazy fun, which it was. I mean, the new one was mostly fan service. Not gonna lie, it was. It wasn't a great Suicide Squad, but you know what? It's also Suicide Squad. Like, especially when you compare it to the last one. The bar's not high.
It's I enjoyed it, and I certainly enjoyed it more than several of the other movies that came out around the same time. But that's just me. Again. So for those of you wondering, here's humanoids. Now, bear in mind, my mother, huge sci-fi person. Both of my parents heavy into comic books. So humanoids was French American publications, and one of the best science fiction graphic novels and series. So the humanoids was published in the 1970s era. And it's something that a lot of people will continue to compare sci-fi, especially sci-fi graphic novels, to today. This was huge when it came out. So if you ever get a chance, one of the best that's ever been published. And two, with the movie coming out, I think it's definitely one to try and pick up. You can get it relatively cheap on Amazon today, but humanoid.
They're responsible for urban legends. They've got a comic book called Urban Legends, and it follows a bunch of kids. A group of young vigilantes roam the streets of Brooklyn solving supernatural crimes. I think there actually might even be a TCG, not a TCG, a TTRPG based on this, actually.
Okay.
Is why this is recognizable to me.
Right.
That's cool. Sorry. Yeah, I've got their website up right now.
Yeah. So humanoids is the public that like the French American publications that does it, and that they're bringing in I don't know I don't want to give anything away. I got to read it for the first time yourselves, but
here I'm copying the link for the YouTube video that they shared.
Yep.
For everyone to be able to pull that up on their own. Since we do not want a potential copyright strike.
I was around that, but yeah. Let's I am curious to see how Ghostbusters does. Because
I am as well.
Yeah.
Didn't that just come up?
It's yes.
I want to say it came out yesterday.
I'm a little thrown off by I always get thrown off by the midnight showings, and then when the reviews start coming out at the same time. But I think Wednesday was the official release date as opposed to Friday.
No. It is.
Or is it tomorrow?
So midnight tonight.
Midnight tonight. That was it.
I could have sworn it was the 17th for some reason.
No. So very, very mixed reviews. Let's see how this goes. Because I mean, I'm gonna give it, if the movie's awful, and I'm gonna definitely hand it to the company that edited the trailer because they did a great job.
Oh yeah, no, the trailer looks awesome.
The trailer's awesome.
I cannot get away from the fucking trailer for that movie. Like right now on TikTok, the marketing team has been doing amazing with it. So TikTok, like they've been taking clips from the movie, and they do the who you gonna call, like Ghostbusters,
Yep.
as just like a 30-second ad or something like that. And I'm like, I cannot get away from it. Like every time I scroll on TikTok, I see it at least twice in like an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted to go see it anyways. Please leave me alone.
Get out of my feed. I'm already doing this.
I am not the one you need to be trying to advertise to. You already had me.
You had me at it. I'm in.
You've got a decent cast. Like the young actors that you've cast look like they're actually going to be doing well with it. And then you've got Paul Rudd. Like, you had me.
So here's a question for you. Keanu Reeves returning as Constantine, yay or nay?
Okay. So I was actually introduced to Constantine through the Keanu Reeves movie.
Yes.
I enjoy the movie, but I also realize he is very much not the DC Constantine.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, like for the CW show that they had on for a while, they actually filmed some of the episodes, like one of the episodes at my college.
Yeah.
And I actually know the guy who played Neagle.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually friends with one of the TTRPG people I play with.
Okay.
Who was one of my teachers in high school. But like, I feel like I would be down for it with the caveat that they do try to make it a little bit more like the comics. Like, I'm willing to say, yeah, you know, like he doesn't have to look exactly like John Constantine. You can just say, like,
yeah,
there's like with the MCU, there's variants.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be the main timeline Constantine.
Sure.
None of the movie characters are going to be a main timeline. They're going to be their own thing, just because the nature of movies.
And I mean, interesting point when you say that this was like your introduction to Constantine. So now look at the abundance of animated movies that are now out. And this is what people are watching for Constantine, even more so than they're really watching the CW shows.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. It's this animated version of Constantine, which is very much pulled out of the comic books, certainly out of what they're publishing in comic books now.
Yeah.
And that is what most people are going to have in their head. Because I mean, I can remember having a friend who's like, I don't really watch comic book movies. Oh my God, Constantine was on the other night. I absolutely love that movie. And I'm like,
you know, it's a comic book movie.
You know, that's a comic book character, right? Like what? Like it literally says DC Comics on the beginning of the movie. He's like, oh, I'm like, well, and it doesn't feel like a comic book movie.
No, it's not supposed to. I mean,
No.
Constantine is not a traditional comic book character either, so
no,
not the way we tend to think of them. He's not like the superhero. It's very
the anti-hero.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero, and then he's very much based in the supernatural. Whereas a lot of the characters, even though they've got like these supernatural-esque powers, it seems to be mostly like rooted in realism with them. It's like there's an actual, like Superman, for example. Oh, he's got a biological reason as to why he's this way.
Right.
Because of, you know, his alien DNA and things of that nature. So it's one of those things that he, beyond just being an anti-hero, he doesn't fit pretty into that little mold of what we have the idea of for a comic book character because people tend to think comic books are superheroes.
As the popularity of somebody like Harley Quinn continues to grow, like all these anti-heroes, and it's more about the character, it's more about the story, and people really aren't interested in the powers. Like, we know what the powers are. We like, you know, that makes sense that when they saw the character, whenever they decided to do Constantine, it wasn't about it being a comic book person. They were never going to mention any other characters. They were never going to mention anything like that. It doesn't matter. Now, when you have Constantine on there, he's joining other characters, he's crossing over, or he is having to, or like Batman's coming to find him because he needs somebody to help him with magic. And okay, cool.
Olive, I would say as Constantine, he was perpetually nonplussed. Okay. Not all woe.
It's Keanu.
I honestly think with what they were given, he did an amazing job as Constantine. Like, prior to everything, like, I didn't even know Constantine was a comic book character until a few years ago.
Right.
And I was like, no, this is a good standalone movie.
Yeah.
It's just something you go back and watch. Now, as a comic book movie based on a comic, it wasn't the best. Yeah. Like, if you're actually looking based on the source material.
Right.
But as a standalone thing, it was amazing.
It did, yeah.
They did an amazing job.
And had a lot of fans. It still has fans who have nothing to do with comic books.
And see, that's the thing with a lot of these movies out there. Like Dragon Ball Evolution, for example.
No.
As a Dragon Ball movie, a Dragon Ball Z movie, it is horrible.
Ugh.
It has absolutely nothing. Like, you took the same character names.
Yeah.
And tried to put it in this box.
Yeah.
Had you not done it as a Dragon Ball movie, I could have gotten behind it. Just because it is campy, good fun. It's not supposed to be an amazing movie. But if you take the Dragon Ball element out of Dragon Ball Evolution, it's just a fun little movie.
Right.
But as someone who's a fan of Dragon Ball and the offshoots, I'm upset that they did that to it.
Right.
Like, I can separate the two. It's like, no, like, it's campy good fun. Like, I love little B movies. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, this should be anything, like, that's, like, AAA style. But on its own, it's just fun.
Right.
It's when you try to pin it as a Dragon Ball movie that we have issues. And there's a lot of things that do that. When you're using a property that is established, you have to respect the fan base that's already there and the legacy that's already been created. And far too often we find that that's not the case. Right. They try to go way off and do their own thing without thinking about the lore that already exists.
And then the Avatar movie was just a bad movie all around.
Oh yeah, no, the Avatar movie was just bad all around.
All around.
And that's not even talking about like the whitewashing of characters. Like, we're not even going to get into that. The Avatar movie, we don't talk about it. Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. It
doesn't exist.
It never happened. So far. All right, Cowboy Bebop, you ready?
I'm ready.
I don't know, you ready? You all ready for this? They are certainly, and we understand, like, this has become a science in and of itself, because the entertainment industry is now all about this, and it has everything to do with what in the comic books, what in the original source material do you need to keep in order to keep the audience, and what do you need to change, or what do you need to generalize in order to get general audiences in.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboy Bebop is one of those things, and it's kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, no, you can't make him look like that. It has to be Sonic. It has to be our Sonic. Like, stop it. Okay. Speed Racer. Okay. With Cowboy Bebop, people who talk about Cowboy Bebop, people who have seen it's not just an anime. It is the anime.
Oh yeah.
It's
no, it
the
was
anime.
and it wasn't just the anime. It was like one of those ones that it pushed boundaries because of like the amount of representation it brought to the table in a time where representation wasn't a thing.
And
so think about how many LGBT plus characters there were, and there were non-binary characters
and characters who didn't care about any of that. In the good way. Like the heroes were accepting 100, and that was the point.
Mm-hmm.
That was the moral. And they did find ways to do it so that maybe more uptight audiences, and I'm going to use that word, uptight, and I'm being diplomatic using that word because I could use a much worse one, but would accept the storyline and not really understand what they were accepting. But the community would.
Mm-hmm.
It was, even when you have it translated, even so you have the original Japanese and how they address things, and then you have some minor things that were changed just to try and vernacularly make it understandable in English. So
yeah,
I did.
That's the thing when you translate something.
You could lose something, and it's not really anybody's fault, but you could lose something that has a few more layers and meanings in the original language it was written in. Translation is difficult. It's not as simple as changing a word for another. When you're dealing with something in pop culture,
there's things that there's absolutely no direct translation of. It's like you kind of get the general feeling of it. But there's a reason why the phrase lost in translation is a thing.
Yeah. It's very, very real. So you really want to, everyone, all of us who were nerding out on trying to learn more about Japanese culture, that's because we didn't want an English translation of anything that we were watching or reading. We wanted to get the full story. There were so many of us that were getting word for word translations that made more sense if you understood that. So, but that's how we all remember like the 2000s, where we could all afford 14 manga a week and things were crazy. Okay, just me. Never mind. Not that I could afford it, but I did it anyway.
I remember for Christmas one year, like, because I had just gotten into Chobits in like 5th grade.
Yeah.
And like my mom, one of the things my parents would do is they would take my brother and I to Barnes and Nobles, and they would buy us just like a bunch of freaking books, right? Like, oh, you guys did well on your report card. All right, we're going to go to Barnes and Nobles and you guys pick out the books you want for now.
Yep.
But like, I'd had like maybe the first 3 or 4, and I came back with a stack of Chobits.
Yeah.
Mom's like, all right, that's your Christmas present.
I'm like, okay, that's it, because that's $10 a pop.
Well, I'd also gotten a bunch of other stuff. So like the other stuff was what I got up front, and then I got the Chobits books as the Christmas present.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, no, like that was not an uncommon occurrence. Like,
no.
All right, where's Lyssa at? She's either in the sci-fi fantasy section or she's with the manga.
Oh yeah. Well, lucky enough I live close to several bookstores that were just anime manga at that point. And again, right up until a few years ago, that was fairly common. But yeah, full otaku brain, and it had everything there. But Cowboy Bebop clearly is one of those adaptations that it's got to be exact. There's just certain things you cannot mess with, and people have made it very clear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I can't really blame them. I can't. I try to keep a very open mind when I'm looking at something being adapted from one media to another, but I don't know. I know there are lots of things that I would miss. And don't mess with the dog. Don't do it. Like, can you imagine if they tried to do that series and they didn't have Ed or somebody in there? Like, you can't. You can't. It doesn't work like that.
Ein.
Or Ein.
You don't leave out the dog.
No, the dog is there, but they tried to do it with a different dog at some point. I guess they had a different species. Yeah, exactly the reaction that they got. That's exactly the reaction. And everyone's like, no.
Ein is a fucking corgi and you will not mess with Ein. Ein is wholesome bean. That is sacred.
Exactly.
Don't fuck with the dog.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the thing. This is just one of those fan bases. Like, you cannot make the Cowboy Bebop adaptation from anything and think that anyone's going to let you get away with something like that. It's not going to happen. That is your audience base.
How many corgi owners have named their dog Ein because of this show?
It's not. You can't. It has to be that corgi or nothing. Like, we will accept a lot of things. We will. We understand. We want the character far more than we want exactly what the cartoon looked like.
Oh, yeah.
We get that.
Like, there's just some things that you can do in animation that you're not going to physically be able to do in real life because, like, gravity.
It's right. So Cowboy Bebop, it's the kick butt thing. And so when they have the trailer out now, it is shot for shot with the live action of the opening sequence of the anime. So I do recommend everyone go watch that because it was created because it's exactly what the fans demanded. We want to see exactly what our intro is. So you can see all of the actors in an opening sequence that is shot for shot. Far as I can tell, I think somebody put it on the split screen. Far as I can tell, it's shot for shot the original opening of Cowboy Bebop. It is like, again, the cartoon was perfection. The characters are perfection.
Did they keep our theme song? Yes!
Shot for shot, exactly where it was, and the music is the same. It's all it's Yoko Tano. If I'm Yoko Tano, I'm trying to remember. And I hate that I have this. I have like 14 of her CDs from every anime because she also did Ghost in the Shell. Yoko Kano, Yoko. Somebody look it up. I'm saying it wrong.
I'm looking it up.
And I'm about to go to hell for it. Somebody knows it. Yeah, Yoko Kano. Thank you, Olive. Yeah. Highly recommend the soundtrack. Highly recommend all of that. But yes. Yeah, no, it's the theme song. It's that. So if you're ready go see what they've already put out for it. Because you can see they tried, like, there were points they tried to do something different. They released some other, they did this and the fans went, no, don't make Sonic the Hedgehog look like that. This is what we need. So, yes. But if you're interested in seeing the live action, I do recommend you see the anime first.
Yeah, if you haven't
there you go.
Watched the anime, you're highly missing out. It is a gem. It's a gem, and I will die on this hill.
Yeah, I will. And you have to see it from the beginning to the end because you just have to.
I still haven't figured out exactly when the movie is supposed to fit into there.
Right. Well, and yeah. So I
take the movie as just its own standalone thing that has the characters.
Which is entirely possible. They could come up with a whole new story and smack it right in the middle of the one with the refrigerator monster and Faye Valentine.
That is the one that makes absolutely no sense. It like the implications of it afterwards, like it goes nowhere. It's just one of those ones. It's like, was this meant to be the Halloween episode?
Right. It's Treehouse. It's Treehouse of Horror.
It's the Treehouse of Horrors of this.
It is. It's Treehouse of Horror.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is fine, but there's absolutely no context.
Yes.
Absolutely no context, and nothing becomes of it afterwards.
Again, Spike having to fight this thing It's again, it is. It's just a little Halloween version of it, and yet I love it. It's one of
The
my
rock lobster that has gone bad in the
ugh,
freezer.
it's just, you could tell they just had a lot of fun making that one, and that's totally fine because you were after that one we started to get into the really heavy shit.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I see it as something that happens. Like, I don't know. I know that they have recreated certain scenes. I know that they have taken characters like two old men that you see playing chess on a table, and you see them in the movie in the exact costumes. They look exactly the same. So
I'm wondering if they're going to add that into the live action or not.
into the
That
what live
episode,
action?
the episode with the rock, the
The rock
monster,
lobster.
the
Yeah.
rock lobster monster.
I,
I swear to God, if they
this may
do,
be
I
the
am going to
moment we see
die
him buy
laughing.
this may be the this is where he buys it. This is where we see him buy it and then hide it in the fridge, and that's like the end of the movie, and we're like, oh crap. Here it comes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But so what I'm curious about, because there's a lot that they aren't telling us, is this going to be an example of a film where they drop us in the middle of it and everybody's already there? Because it takes a lot of time, and it should, for the team to get together.
Well, it's an entire series. They are not doing it as a movie.
Live action series. Sorry. Live action
Yeah.
series.
So the fact that they're doing it as a series, I think they might get the team together.
Which is great.
I think they're going to do it over time based on
Right.
the fact that it's a series, not a movie.
It raises a lot of questions for me, and I think we will before or after the death butterflies.
I mean,
good question. I don't know.
we'll see. I'm tentatively excited about it.
I am.
I think everything that we've been shown so far points to it being a good adaptation. But I also don't trust Netflix with adaptations.
Yeah, they're hit or miss. They do best, in my opinion, with adaptations that they have to really build.
Well, and see, because this is going to be a series,
right?
I get the feeling they are going to have to build.
So yes, let me rephrase. The equivalent of making an entire series based on one short story.
Okay.
Netflix can do that.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes. But the last adaptations that they have done, I have greatly enjoyed. Sometimes they get together. It's phenomenal. Let me get this. Let me say this correctly. Sometimes they give the money to the right people. They give the money to the right teams. Sometimes they do that.
Well,
but this is a big one.
What was that one I watched over the summer that it's the crap. The like part animal kids.
Oh, antlers.
Yeah, it's got the antler kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that one, and that's an adaptation. I thought they did good.
Sweet Tooth. It's called Sweet Tooth. That was a good one.
That was, yep.
And a lot of people that had read the comics prior to it were giving it good accolades as well.
Yeah. Yep.
But it depends on who you give your money to make something, and if they understand the material they are given.
Yeah.
Like when it comes, because they're also supposed to be adapting Avatar, The Last Airbender, into a live action television series,
which will definitely be completed before any of the Avatar movies. Cameron Avatar movies are ever finished.
Not wrong.
It's all right.
But
we can take this time.
In regards to that, like, I don't trust that one's going to be done right, because they originally had the Avatar team on their side and they were working with them, and they've jumped ship.
Yeah.
They didn't like what Netflix was doing with their baby, and they left the project. So either that's going to be a really bad thing,
yeah,
or that will motivate them to reassess what they were doing.
right.
However, either way doesn't bode well for that particular project.
No.
Because Avatar: The Last Airbender was such a good animated show.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already had one shitty adaptation.
I still don't understand how that happens.
Like,
When whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a cat in my room. Hello.
Oh, there is a cat.
Finally using the bed I bought her. The hell.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So
But yes,
Pathfinder.
Fargo is. Yep. What? Go ahead.
Pathfinder has was it Paizo Games, if I remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paizo, excuse me. Paizo Games has come forward and said that they are going to discontinue the use of the word phylactery in all Pathfinder publications going forward, because it has real-world religious customs that it is associated with. So this was something I was unaware of until I happened to have come across this information on TikTok. A phylactery is also another word for what is it? I'm about to butcher this. I apologize to anyone who is Jewish. Tefillin. And so basically, it is a set of small black leather boxes containing scrolls of parchment inscribed with verses of the Torah. It's often worn by observant adult Jews during weekday morning prayers. More specifically, it tends to be more Orthodox Jewish members will wear one of these. But it's not limited to Orthodox Jews. If you happen to be Reform or anything else, it can also just be something that you're feeling lost in your faith and you wear it to feel closer to God. But it's also known as a phylactery. And because of those real world implications, Paizo has come forward and saying they're discontinuing the use of the word phylactery. In fact, they're calling it a soul. Sorry, I've got to scroll back down and see if they've got it on this. It does not appear that this one is using it. Anyways, they're calling it a soul like rectory or something like that. Because that's what it is. It's a place where a lich puts its soul. But the implications of using the word phylactery for a creature that is considered to be inherently evil. So liches are basically wizards that have killed a bunch of people, moved their soul into something else in order to try and obtain immortality. Actually, a very good example of a phylactery, Voldemort and the Horcruxes.
Yeah.
The Horcruxes are a phylactery, as what we would
which
know
is what
from
they're
fantasy.
Right.
And Voldemort is essentially a lich because he has taken his soul and tried to protect it from his physical body. But this is a good step moving forward. Now, Paizo, for those of you who are unaware of what Pathfinder is basically a spin-off of Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. They part of the team didn't exactly enjoy how Wizards of the Coast was doing things going forward, and they spun off and created Pathfinder to do their own thing. I'm hoping that since Paizo has come out and said, we're no longer going to do this, that Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, will do this as well. Because they are trying to move to be more inclusive. They are trying to change the landscape of how TTRPGs have been. Because traditionally speaking, you have a bunch of gatekeepery men that are the focus of the hobby, when that's not the case anymore. It's very diverse now. There's a very diverse group of people playing tabletop games. There are queer members, women, people of color. It's no longer just cis-het white men playing in their mom's basements, as just a very stereotypical example.
Right.
Pretty sure phylactery is just Greek for the box you put things in. It does have a Greek root. But because of the implications within Judaism, it's definitely one of those things that can be seen as anti-Semitic, especially given that like young Jewish men, there is anti-Semitism and the implications that, oh, you know, this evil thing is using the same thing that I use to try and connect to my faith, that can be used against them. And let's just be honest, we don't need to give people more reasons to try and be assholes to one another. If you can use a different word, use the different word.
Yeah, and you know, equally, and the point trying to be made in the comment section as well. It to your point, it's just an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
and it's a good step in that direction. And to the point in the comments that you're right. I mean, absolutely, you're going to have certain religions that are just not taken as seriously as, say, the top three. That's just unfortunate and unfair. Just like there are times, probably for Lyssa, that she hasn't really said her lack of faith because she doesn't really want to change the tone in the room.
Yeah, there's plenty of times that I just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, I am not gonna get into this.
No.
Not gonna get into this. It's not worth it.
No.
I'm just gonna piss people off, and it's going to make things a hell of a lot more complicated than they need to be right now. Just gonna shut up.
There are certain ones that will, unfortunately, where the implications will be taken more seriously.
Yes.
Based on the faith, and it's
well,
definitely.
And also given the fact that, you know, there is the history of an entire genocide of the Jewish people.
Very delicate subject.
Even more reason to not potentially accidentally demonize them if you can.
Yeah. Yep. All of that.
Yeah, exactly, Olive. No one should be mad about a company looking at some potentially problematic words or wording and going, yeah, like let's like, and here's the thing. No one had been making a stink about the word phylactery. They just looked at it and went, you know, there are some implications here that we can change and we can do better as a company.
Yeah.
But that's my big TTRPG news for
the week. Always happy to do a little muzzle of the week for good behavior.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just good behavior. Like I love seeing companies realize that, hey, you know, like, even though like no one's calling us out, let's go ahead and, you know, take some initiative and do the right thing.
Yeah, God forbid. God forbid.
Disney. Oh, and speaking of Disney, because of Disney Plus Day, Disney introduced a text-to-speech function on TikTok. However, there was quite a few words that the text-to-speech of these characters would not say, including but not limited to gay, queer, lesbian, etc.
Sure.
However, it would allow the use of slurs of that community.
Wow.
People did, thankfully, make enough of a stink about it that they have since gone in and changed that bit of coding to allow those words. Also didn't stop people from finding new and inventive ways to spell it so that it would say it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we are spiteful motherfuckers who will do what we want while also making it say mommy milkers.
I mean, you just got to expect the worst of people when you're making something like this. So you would think, sir, if you're making it hard to make these words, it really didn't occur to you not to make it impossible to say the other ones.
Yeah. It's like you're willing to have it not say that. Like, I get them cutting out the cussing. I do, because
Right.
it is a Disney property.
Right.
Like, that's just something because they want to try and stay family friendly.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
I get that. I understand it.
Yep.
However, the fact you're cutting out words that are about an entire community.
That you say you support.
Yeah. That's when I have an issue. And Steven, it's not Gygax's brother, it's his son, Ernie, that you're referring to, I believe.
Let's see, looking forward to Cobra Kai, Tick Tick Boom, new Power Ranger show, of course, Nani.
Yep.
Let's see what else. Paramount Plus. Yeah, don't get me started on them.
I mean, it's Paramount.
It's Paramount. It's Paramount. Well, and then I got mine coming out. I got Letterkenny season 10.
There you go.
Because to be fair, it's an amazing show.
It is.
And it applies because every year I go to a convention, there are always 4 guys cosplaying Letterkenny.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen Letterkenny yet, you got to go all the way back to the beginning and watch it because it's like a different language now. By the time we got to season 10, it has its own language, and if you're not familiar with the seasons before,
oh yeah,
no, it won't work. But yay! Supergirl No More is still moving forward. Little bit of a change up behind the scenes and moving things up, and we will be shooting in Los Angeles. So
really?
Waiting for some footage to come in because that footage is the trailer or the scene rather that will be used for the campaign, for the crowdfunding campaign. So we have some more footage coming in. We are finalizing with the terms with the actors that will be announced. But yeah, we'll be filming in Los Angeles, and it's still a showdown between Lex Luthor and Supergirl. So showdown being like, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're waiting for some footage right now that we shot with Kevin Porter a few weeks ago to come in. And that footage is what will be used. And then once we have that, we'll know the day that we're launching the campaign. And when we know the date we're launching the campaign, then we'll have an idea of when we will be able to shoot. I'm hoping January. But again, I'm still waiting for some footage to come in. So
is that GoFundMe link still that you sent me earlier?
Yes.
Still appropriate? Okay, I'm
gonna
put that in
that
the
one's there.
now.
That's just our little mini GoFundMe for the scene that we shot already. But it's already been shot. So that's the scene that we're hoping to premiere with the big campaign, which will be as of now probably an Indiegogo campaign.
Okay.
But we are still cementing a few of those things, and yeah, I mean, nothing happens as fast as you think. But I go back and I think about it, and I think, Alec was actively promoting Axanar, the idea of Axanar, for, I think, a year. before he launched the big campaign. So some things take time. I know it could be, but this certainly moving a lot faster than it has been in years for me. And again, the first time I did this, I did a crap ton of test footage and spent like $10,000 of my own money and filmed a teaser trailer and a scissor reel and wrote up to the pitch packet and cast a bunch of people. And then, it turned out that the girl that I was working on the promotions with was lying to a company she was trying to get hired by and said the whole project was hers, and used all of my work to get herself a new job, and then just ghosted me one day. So yeah, that was fun.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth after that. Unfortunately for her, it didn't really pan out. And here I am moving on.
It happens.
It happens. Okay.
All right. And in news for me, of course, guys, I'm a part of the Juju Energy Partner Program. It is an absolutely delicious energy drink. If you use code GeekGirl on jujuenergy.com, you get a 10% discount. You're also supporting me when you do this. And after this show, I will be on my channel starting at 8:30. And we are playing Rupture RPG, which is the tabletop that I do work for. So you should come check that out as well.
Yay. And there's a little logo. There it is. Right there. How cute is that?
Wait, there we go.
There we go.
There's the logo. Oh, you know what? I should have loaded the Thanksgiving one.
Oh
well, not a big deal.
Oh well. You'll do it on your
little turkey one.
That's too cute. That's too cute.
I know. Isn't the little logo guy just adorable?
It's adorable. That's a really cute one. I like that one. Because everything's all like Monster Energy drinks. And I'm like, oh, that's really cute. I like that one. Yeah.
It's like a little like chibi Frankenstein-esque voodoo doll thing.
Yeah. Okay. Juju. Cousin Juju. Juju. That works.
But anything else that you have that you want to talk about real quick, Crysstal?
I will mention that they are still working on the Green Lantern TV show being HBO Max. And the latest reports are that it's going to have way more of a the Watchmen TV series feel to it.
Okay.
That they're going to try and incorporate. Hopefully it'll do better than Watchmen, which was great. It just didn't make it to another season for various reasons. I still think it was a good show worth watching. And now they're doing the Green Lantern. Again, they're still at beginning of development of pre-production, still getting their team together. But I would be really fascinated to see the Green Lantern Corps really be brought to life. Obviously, the anime movies are very good. Several incarnations are very good. I even want to just jump right into it. But it I think it deserves its own platform. I think it has plenty of mythology around it. You could build really good stories, really good characters with. So we shall see. Why on HBO next? No, it will not. No, these shows will not be on the CW. The CW couldn't get them past the censors. They have to be on HBO. And that's for the same reason Titan.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You know, Titan. I would rather them not dumb something down, for lack of a better term, than needs to be.
Yep. There you go. All right, guys.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. We will see you not next week because of the holiday, but
Happy Turkey Day.
Yes. If you are in the US and you are celebrating Thanksgiving, we hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you are drinking, remember, don't drink and drive. You know, the usual, be responsible things. Have a good time with your family members.
Don't discuss politics.
Yeah, don't discuss politics. Just Jesus Christ, don't discuss the politics. Not worth it. Not worth it. Just have a good time. We hope your holiday's wonderful, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much, guys. Live long and prosper. Bye.
Bye.